welcome to my channel. So today I actually wanted to do a fun little video on kind of how P and I met and times that I questioned him, I want to say, or times that I had questions in my head like, is this right? Is this accurate? Are these feelings real? So I'm going to start by talking about how we met, because I don't know that I've talked about it before on our channel. So let's jump into that. We have a 5.5, almost 6-year age gap. He is October 1989 and I am July 1995. So with that being said, P remembers meeting me when I was way younger. I don't know, I just don't remember it, because he worked at my family's business where we both lived in the same town. Of course, I was always at my family's business from a young age because, you know, my parents, my grandparents, everyone was there. So what would I do after school? I would go there. And on the weekends, where was I? I was there and working there from a young age. So P worked there too. And actually the first time I remember seeing him, we were driving in the gate and he was there having people sign in. And my grandma was like, oh my gosh, that guy is so cute. And I was like, and I looked at him and I was like, he is not cute. Like, no. And that was it. I was like, oh gosh, shut up. Like, no, he's not. And then, of course, I kept seeing him and he was really nice. Didn't really talk to him. And he came in the office to get his check. And I was like, and he had cut his hair. So at the time when my grandma said he was cute, he had long hair, probably a little shorter than mine. And he has amazing curly hair, as you can see in the pictures. And I was like, oh no. And then when he came in and he had cut his hair, I was like, oh my gosh, he is cute. But I was like, okay, there's no way. Of course, I knew how old he was. Actually, at the time, I don't think I did know how old he was. But I didn't think he was interested in me. He was very much like a adventurous, spontaneous, like always out with friends. You know, when he wasn't at work, he was doing something fun. And I didn't know much about him. So, moving on. I was like, okay, this guy's cute. And so randomly I ran into him in one of the buildings, and for some reason we'd started talking. I think that I was wearing a big jacket and he wasn't wearing a jacket at all. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're not cold? And he's like, no, I'm not cold. Like, we just started chatting about that. And then he said like, oh, my 21st birthday's coming up. And I was like, oh, what are you doing for your 21st birthday? So then I was like, oh my gosh, he's way older than me. He's not going to go for me. And of course, if he was turning 21, that means I was 15. So I was like, oh my gosh, like he's never going to go for me. I didn't disclose my age at that point. So I was like, oh, he's never going to go for me, but he's cute, whatever. So we just kind of chatted. And then I just didn't think it was going to happen. And there were like random things along the way that, like, he was very mysterious. He's very a private person. Nobody gets to know him. He's very nice and like always says hi. He's very kind. But at the same time, you're like, is he really? Or is that fake? You never know. And like, is he really shy around women or is he a player? I don't know. So at one point, I worked in the office with my cousin. He was like, Sierra, I don't know. I don't know if I trust him. I don't know. And I was like, why? Like, of course we weren't dating. I just liked him. And he was like, I don't know. He might be a player. He had went to a restaurant and the girl saw our family business sticker on his car and was like, oh my gosh, does Paul work out there? And my cousin was like, yeah, like he does. And she was like, tell him I said hi. Like, and my cousin was like, okay. He's like, she was like a cute young girl. Like, maybe he's a player. Like, we don't know. And I was like, oh my gosh. It was very mysterious. Like, I think for both of us, we didn't know that well. P knew that I was part of the family, but he didn't know, like, who all, you know, I was close to, or, you know, just all the people. It's a lot of family out there, so you don't know ever. And yeah, so it's very mysterious. So I had my moments where I questioned him, where I'm like, And of course, I didn't think he liked me. I thought he knew how old I was, so I was like, he's never gonna go for me. And then sometimes he would talk to me, like when he'd get off work, he'd talk to me for like an hour or like 2-3 hours just standing there talking to me. And I was like, okay, like he just likes to talk, like whatever. So finally, apparently he was gonna ask me out, and I didn't know that. And he was like, oh, I'll see you next weekend. And I was like, okay, like whatever, I'll probably be here. And I wasn't. I was actually visiting my boyfriend at the time. And I never told P that I had a boyfriend because I was like, okay, I like him, and like I don't think he's gonna go for me, but I don't want to tell him I have a boyfriend because I like him. So then at that point I was like, okay, I need to evaluate the relationship I'm in. Of course it wasn't serious. I was 15 and it was a long distance thing. It was a mess. So, I pretty much was like, oh yeah, I'll see you next weekend. And I just didn't like think about it. And so P was like, oh, she doesn't like me because she didn't show up. And I was like, oh, that was not even in my head. I just was doing something. So, keep going. One day he needed a ride home for some reason. So when I got off work, I was like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll give you a ride home from work. And my whole family knew I liked him. So, and they all loved him. So I like drove him home from work, and we sat in the car and we talked for so long. Like I said, we had talked for hours before, and he was always very upfront, and I was like, why is he telling me this stuff? Like, he's telling me all about his friends, and like immediately he was like, oh, you know, just telling me a lot of stuff about him. And I was like, whoa, like this is intense. Like, why is he telling me this? Like, okay. So when we took that car ride home, he lived pretty close to the business. We sat in the car from 5 at night, 5 p.m. till 2 in the morning. And by about like midnight, I was like, okay, maybe he's flirting with me. I don't know. Like, maybe he is. And so in my head, I was kind of like, oh, and I actually had pneumonia at the time and I didn't know it. And I kept coughing, and I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. But every time I coughed, he was like, are you okay? Like, he actually cared. Like, he was so genuine. So, and actually when my boyfriend and I should go backwards. I'm going to have to cut this out. So when my boyfriend and I at the time broke up, it was like right before Thanksgiving. Like, it was in the beginning of November. And then we had a Thanksgiving drag race at my family's business, and I told my dad, like, oh my gosh, I want to go talk to him, but it's obvious he's out of the way. If I go talk to him, it's like super obvious that I will like him. So my dad was like, who cares, I'll drop you off. So he dropped me off, and I talked to him for a while, and we had both talked about, like, I had said, I want to see the Jack and Jill movie from Adam Sandler. I really want to see that movie. And P was like, yeah, me too. And then we're just like, okay. And neither of us said anything. And so I was like, oh my God, like I thought he was going to ask me out, and he didn't. So whatever. And my dad was like, Sierra, you idiot, like you should have asked him out. I'm like, I'm not going to ask him out. Like, no. So then the next weekend or so, was it the next weekend? I believe it was. So the next weekend, I had driven him home. We talked in the car for a long time. And finally, like at that point, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure he's flirting with me, but I don't know. And then right at the end, when he was getting out of the car at like 2 a.m., he was like asking me something, and I was like, I don't understand what you're saying to me right now. Like, I just don't, what? And then finally he's like, do you want to go to the movies with me? Like, do you want to go see that movie? And I was like, yes. And I was like, oh my God. I was like screaming in the car when I drove away. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. So, things just happen the way they're meant to happen. But always trust your gut. If you're with someone and you feel like you like someone else better, that might be a hint. I never thought that P would go for me because of the age gap, but it actually makes perfect sense for us. We feel like the same age. I was always more mature. You know, as they say, guys mature a little later in life. So at the time, he was young. He was 20. When we started dating, I was 16, and he was 21, he had just turned 22 because our date is December 3rd. So flash forward, I had my moments where I had one moment where I was in our closet, like going through stuff, and we had already lived together. And I found this jacket, and I was so creeped out. It was like a gnarly trench coat, and I was like, I don't know why. I watch a lot of like ID channel and stuff, like Who the Bleep Did I Marry? And like I'm putting clothes away, and I find this jacket that I've never seen before. He never wears it, like, and I was like, ew. It was like a leather trench coat, and I was like so creeped out, and I was like, is he like an assassin for a living? Does he kill people? I was so freaked out, and he was working like late at night, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so I asked him, and he was like, what? I was like, it freaked me out. Your jacket scared me. And he's like, no, that was for a Halloween costume, and I just never got rid of it. So I had my moment of fear. But flash forward, we're going to be dating for 8 years this year. We got engaged after we had been together. We got engaged in 2015 on his birthday at Disneyland. He had the ring since we were dating 3 months, I believe. I would have to double check with him, but I'm pretty sure he had the ring that early. And he just held on to it. And now here I am with my beautiful custom wedding band. We got married in 2017. And yeah, it's just awesome to have someone to spend your life with, but you should always be cautious, you should always be smart, and you should always look at signs, because I had my moments where literally my family and I were like, is he the one? Is this sketchy? Is he sketchy? Like, you never know. So, but I get asked a lot about our age difference, especially like when I was in high school, people were always like, oh my gosh, like your parents let you date someone that's that much older than you, like, and even still people are like, oh my gosh, that's your age gap, like I would never know. P looks really young. Not that I look old, but P looks really good for his age. Of course, he'll be 30 this year. He takes really good care of his skin, and when he has a beard, people think he's a little older, and when he shaves it, he looks younger. It's the opposite to me. I don't know. I prefer with the beard and long hair. So that is our love story. That is my questionable moments, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So let me know if you would like to ask any questions down below. I'd love to answer for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like if you like. Please subscribe so you don't miss us, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye!